Zero to Hero podcast fans, welcome back. On tonight's show, a very good friend from high school, Evan Moore, just came back from running the New York City Marathon, which is wildness. Runs a fitness shoe company in Burnaby as well. We had a great conversation. You're going to enjoy it. Leave us a review. Hit the subscribe button. We want to hear from you guys. We love you. Enjoy. Podcast.
Yeah.
I like talking about this because I basically only listen to podcasts in terms of like receiving content. Like I don't really read much.
Yeah.
But like, how do you consume content? How do you educate yourself?
I'm a big app news guy.
Okay.
Podcast.
Like which ones?
I just go to my Google News. My score, that's sports more. And then actually I watch the news. Like I record the National at 10 o'clock every night on CBC and either watch in the morning. Basically if it's sports or news, I pay attention a lot to the US politics. Was pretty into the election that we just had. So it's really what Laura and I watch. It's news, sports, and then a couple junk ones here and there.
Were you into any of the local people?
A lot less so. Less so.
Federal?
More on the federal, more on the bigger topics. And maybe I'm overlooking that aspect, but I question the influence that they actually have.
100%.
Yeah.
The system is so flawed, and I don't know what the right system is, but the fact that I have to vote for someone who makes little to no difference locally, and I don't get to vote for the prime minister doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and definitely I don't know the right system. I don't know even necessarily what's completely wrong with the system, but the fact that I'm not checking a certain name that I want to run a country, it seems awkward and seems weird on the ballot box.
Is that an option to have two?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because then you're cheating.
No. I mean, like, why can't you have like
a federal one and a provincial one?
Yeah.
But then what if you vote for two different parties? How does that work?
Why isn't that okay?
So who would run your BC one? It would be a different person than your federal one? How would that work?
I don't know.
And this is the big dilemma. So say Ontario has 3 times the population of everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's basically, why are we even voting? It's whoever Ontario votes for. So this at least breaks it down a little bit and allows small territories to represent more. I could be way off. I hope there's somebody.
Because then you have like smaller towns that actually get like a seat, right?
Exactly. Or a say.
Mm-hmm.
So the individual votes aren't as important.
So they don't weight it by
small towns.
They put some sort of weight towards
based on your population.
Region.
You have a number of seats, right?
Yeah. So they definitely weight the heavier ones a little higher, but but they want to make sure that all regions have a say. And just because there's a county of say 150 people, which is maybe 1% of a Lower Mainland sort of district, at least that 150 people adds up to one vote or one chunk sort of thing.
Right.
Because there needs to be heard, need to be heard too.
What did you think about the candidates this year? I never talk about politics, and this is probably the first election that I actually paid attention to.
Okay.
And based on your history of listening to the news and reading the news, you're probably much more educated than I am. But I'm still just curious.
Yeah. So I thought it's so tough. Like this time, like with all the social media, it's so tough for these guys or girls to be the perfect candidate. And I think a lot of the narrative is around how like, boy, you're picking the best of the worst sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure in this sort of transition phase of like politics has gone so social, what the next 10 years looks like. And maybe it's going to be perfected, but I think a lot of people are scrambling and aren't sure how many times they should be on the cover of the Rolling Stones being cool versus like disappearing and being lame and actually getting shit done sort of thing. And what gets you votes and what actually progresses the country or your values sort of thing. But yeah, I certainly thought that the Conservatives had a chance at this was their chance. Like Trudeau was weak, and I would say the Conservatives sort of botched it. Even though, like they said, they won the popular vote, sort of thing. So
Yeah, same as Trump in
exactly.
the U.S. in 2016, right?
So yeah, it was sour. And I think a lot of people who did vote red kind of did it kind of saying with much less excitement than they had when they brought Trudeau in. That was definitely the vibe. And I think he's kind of realizing it. I think he's kind of like, all right, okay, I had my little victory lap on my first go, and now I've got to get some shit done and move forward with some stuff. And I think the fact that he's a minority government has sobered him up and is forcing him to play ball with these other guys. So,
do you think the voters are sour? Just they felt like they had to vote for Trudeau because they didn't like the other option?
Yeah, I think so.
What did people not like about Scheer? There was obviously like people brought up the homophobic thing and all that kind of garbage from like, but that was like, wasn't that like a 15 or 20 year ago thing that he said?
Yeah, and that's like, when do we put a cap on some of these things, right? Like
the Trudeau pics,
the Trudeau pics and the blackface or brown face. It's like it's I don't know. I feel like probably at some of my elementary school parties, there were parents or kids like dressed up like that,
and you wouldn't have even thought twice
and it wouldn't have even been. And if he's in a room full of people who thought that was okay and didn't call him out at the time, and he won best prize or at the costume or whatever, then he's going to do it again. And then you mine or go and find these tiny little photos that now are no longer acceptable.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in the wrong sort of position to like comment on what I think is acceptable in that, because I'm in a different category. But yeah, like when can we kind of say like, yeah, it was acceptable back then, it wasn't, it was, and now it's definitely not. I would never do it, right? I think so many of us could look back and like think of what we said or what we did 10, 15 years ago and like kind of be like, whoa, I would never say that again.
Especially for us, now that we're supposedly much more educated adults. But like looking back 15 years when you were a kid, you were just so influenced by what other people were doing,
exactly.
right? What other people thought was okay.
Yeah.
Like 15 years ago, like even just like the idea of calling someone gay or something like that.
Exactly.
No one said anything about it.
No.
So obviously there was times that you can think back and just be like, oh, I would never say that anymore.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's pretty, what's the line? And how far do you go back and say, okay, well, this was not necessarily socially frowned upon.
Yeah.
15 years ago. Should we really be bringing up this photo or what Scheer said in this interview or whatever?
Yeah. And I think that's why they're in such a tough position, because they have half the population of a country looking for a reason to bring them down, sort of thing. But I think as a normal person, I think we have to continue to like realize mistakes and know who we are and be confident with that and what our values are and kind of own it. But I'm thankful I don't have somebody combing over every single thing, or I'm thankful that I didn't have Twitter or Instagram when I was 10 to 18 years old, sort of thing.
Thank God, eh?
Right? You think of these like draft picks who like 15 years ago you quoted a lyric or something or one sentence and it's like draft status goes down. But it's such a, boy, we're jumping into a sensitive topic because definitely I don't stand for any of that. And so it's tough to, and I don't think it's up to I wonder who it's up to when is the grace period? It's like, oh, from now on sort of thing, or what? Think of the hockey coach where it's like 15 years ago and you'd ask him now and of course he's going to say, I would never do that. But maybe he has grown out of that or realized and educated himself and brought himself out of that opinion. But
I like the sensitive topics. Most people aren't open to talking about them.
Yeah.
But it kind of, well, I just don't really care.
Yeah.
I want to make opinions. I want to have opinions, but I
Yeah.
also want to hear what other people think about interesting things like
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah. I think my only concern is sounding naive and
Sure.
and like, because I know there's a huge amount of people who have suffered through generations of pain and stuff, and I realize how privileged I am, so I kind of think my opinion doesn't matter too much on that sort of topic. Whereas the politics side, I think Scheer too, like sure, that was a long time ago, but even his approach to abortion laws, I think caught him up a little bit. I think they tried to go and find a Trudeau in their party and with a smile and a dimple and a family and tried to just duplicate that sort of thing. And I didn't think it came across very genuine, which I think stumbled.
What percentage of their policy list do you think is party driven versus like actual personal opinion? Because I feel like, again, slightly uneducated perspective, but like the people at the top of the party seem just like they're puppets.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason they get there is because they're willing to be puppets.
Yeah.
If someone has a strong opinion and it kind of wants to go off on their own, they just don't move up in parties.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was proven with Bernier, who thought he should have gotten up there, and he said, and maybe he wasn't willing to be a puppet master. And so he started his own party and tried to run on his own sort of thing and got like less than 1% of the vote. But yeah, I think it's got to be someone you can sell who I think still has to be the best of the best. Like that's a tough gig to be under the spotlight and all those things. But yeah, I would guess a pretty small percentage is actually really driven by the individual, which is probably not the worst thing in the world.
Really?
Well, think about giving one individual that much more power. Sure, we're voting for him, but all it takes is one kind of crazy idea or one thing that they feel so passionate about that they can just kind of have overall rule. I think at least dispersing that power a little bit is useful.
Do you think it slows down progression though? Because you have to get hundreds of people on board rather than like, I guess at that point, then you're talking about, well, why is this person's opinion stronger than the party's opinion or whatever? Right?
Exactly. And then is it a check system too of like, I don't know, is it a way to check like, all right, that's going too far, or the thing that you are pitching, 55 of the 100 of us believe in it and let's move forward sort of thing.
Right.
I think it definitely slows things down. But I'm not sure it's a terrible thing. Yeah. I see value in that, I think.
We're kind of in this transition period of things coming up from the past, right?
Yeah.
Because of how crazy social media has blown up and just the advancement of technology.
Yeah.
Do you think long term though it's going to make people better? Because and the reason I'm asking this is because like 15, 20 years ago, Trudeau went to that party with, the makeup on. Even if he thought it was borderline okay at the time, he probably wasn't super concerned about it ever biting him in the ass because Instagram didn't exist.
Exactly.
Whereas if you go to a party today dressed like that, or you're probably sitting at home thinking, someone's going to take a photo of this. It's going to live on the internet forever.
For sure.
I'm probably going to make a different decision.
For sure.
I almost think it's like, it's making people better. It's making people, or you can't really hide anymore. You can't hide poor choices anymore.
Yeah. And expose them. I think it makes you check yourself again, like, where am I at sort of thing.
Or you're Donald Trump and you just say, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the crazy thing to think about. Like, what is society or what are we doing right now that in 10 years will we look back and like, can you believe we did 100%. That? And, like, what did I see? Victoria's Secret fashion show got canceled this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
And like,
why did it get canceled?
Well, you're marching, fucking like, you're just displaying women. You're putting them up on a pedestal like they're a piece of meat, let alone the body shaming and what the message tells. And I feel like in 10 years, we're going to look and like our kids are going to look and be like, so you guys actually watched, like this actually happened? No way, sort of thing. And it was on at 8 o'clock on, NBC or whatever. And you're like, yeah, can you believe it?
And replayed multiple times throughout the year. People taped it.
and like that was yeah, like you were whatever, an angel, like that sort of stuff. Like, what are we doing, or what is society calling acceptable right now that that'll be like, holy shit, that happened? No way, sort of thing. Like smoking on a plane, or like there's so many that are like, no way. And like, whereas if somebody's on their balcony smoking, I'm like, what the hell, sort of thing. Now, right? Which is, I don't know, that's crazy to think about all those weird little things that are, and I guess it can go the other way. Like, can you believe weed was illegal and it wasn't allowed, and all of those things? Like, it's kind of weird to think about. Yeah.
Because it's impossible for us to think about, obviously we never lived through it, but it's impossible to think of how liquor was illegal at one point.
Prohibition.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so common in society.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to do tonight? Oh, let's go grab a
Everyone.
beer.
Yeah, always. Anytime you go out.
It's like a social meeting thing is to go grab a beer or whatever.
Absolutely.
If you don't drink, then you're the weird one.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like life it would be tough as somebody who's sober by choice or not, sort of thing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it is weird. And I think it is happening quicker and quicker. And these norms are changing, and what's acceptable is moving pretty quickly.
Wait, so there's going to be no more female models? What's going on?
Yeah. I was like, whoa, let's bring this back. I need a little more explanation.
I was like, do I need to delete the last 4 years of the fashion show off my PVR tonight?
Thank God I've got it saved on a hard drive. I think it's just the show. I don't know. I'm sure they're still going to make underwear and bikinis and stuff.
I don't know. Like, I get like it's like their bodies or whatever, but they put so much work, the diet, it's so much effort, right? That's like me seeing LeBron and be like, nah, I can never be that. Let's cancel basketball.
Sure,
Let's get some accountants in the NBA or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess when you see somebody who's like an ultra athlete, and like, does that discourage young girls or boys of like, I can never get there, and feel like shit?
I understand why there's a difference with models. I mean, right?
Yeah. I guess
it's hard work.
I guess the only thing is like, would you really be bullied if you didn't look like a jacked athlete, or would you really be bullied if you didn't look like the token girl that everybody is or guys should look like?
That probably depends though too, in terms of like what school you go to. If you go to a school that is like a sports school, football, basketball school, if you're not a jock, if you're not an athlete, you're getting bullied, probably.
Exactly.
But everyone wants to look like LeBron James.
Yeah.
I want to look like DK Metcalf.
They're pretty
Have
close.
you seen that guy with a shirt off? He's the new receiver, the rookie receiver on the Seahawks.
Yeah.
He's like 6'5", 230, and he looks like a clay model of a man.
Jesus Christ. He sounds amazing.
So jacked. Yeah. He's 23 too. Like, it doesn't make sense. I do not believe he's 23. He's got to be 30.
There's he's TRT or some shit going on there, man.
Yeah. 23's prime though. Like, he's got to be, or is it just the facial features? Or
he's like a LeBron type.
Just
like
those. It's just a freak.
Right? Yeah.
Just a freak, man.
Yeah. LeBron at 18 had a full beard and was just a huge man.
Exactly. And then kept going. Like he's if you watch LeBron from like first Cavs days and even the Heat, like he wasn't as strong as he is
now. He looked skinny.
Yeah. He looked pinner for sure. Yeah.
But in high school, watching his dunk tapes, do you remember watching those? Like,
yes.
How old is he? 36, 37?
34, I think.
34?
Yeah, he's like 33, 34.
So he's a few years older than us. So when we were in high school, hearing about this LeBron James guy, we're like in grade 10.
Cover slam.
We're like super skinny white dudes in Vancouver. Watching LeBron James dunk tapes in high school, jumping from like just inside the free throw line on people.
And then lowering my hoop in the front yard to like 4 feet.
We're using those little trampolines.
Yeah, exactly.
And still being able to barely do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And still front rimming it.
I bet Phil was out there with you guys.
course. Yeah.
Or was Phil getting dunked on? Dad, come on here. I want to practice my dunks.
Yeah, right. That's good.
You said you paid a lot of attention to US stuff.
Yeah, and still do.
Do you like any of the underdog candidates, the like one-off?
Yeah, so it's pretty hilarious to see how many people are running. I guess the one like good thing that you think of when you bring somebody so shitty at their job, like Trump is I think it's a bit of a reset, and it'll kind of like you got to hit rock bottom, I think, before you realize what you had or what you could be or should be, sort of thing. And so I think people will look around. Hopefully, they'll look around and be like, "Yeah, we can't do this, and we need to make a change."
I think people were sick of like pure career politicians too. Just
Absolutely.
like the same families that have been around forever and just have these fucking foundations and all that shit. It's so sketchy, right?
And you hear some crazy shit about the Clintons.
Oh my God.
Like it's insane, and
body
Epstein
lists and all that shit.
And just like whatever happened to that person. It's like, oh, they
the journalists that disappear.
Yeah.
You hear things all the time.
It's insane.
But everyone just glances over it, and then Donald Trump's the bad guy.
yeah, I guess so. Like he brought a refreshing take. Like, media and people who get paid to write and talk about this are loving it.
Well, look at the state of like media right now. Everything is like on the 24-hour clickbait cycle.
Yeah.
Just whatever news, whatever's going on, you have like those titles that just grab your attention. You start reading and it's all fluff. It's all crap. It's nothing.
Exactly.
But that's like everything, right? You need eyes on your fucking magazine, your paper, whatever, to make money, to be successful. So what are you willing to do for that?
Exactly. And that's probably what he exposed the most to get into leadership, right?
Is there a way to win at that position though? Like Joe Rogan talks about this. Joe Rogan has interviewed a bunch of the candidates.
Yeah. I've listened to most. Yeah.
And one thing he always comes back to is he's like, why do you want to do this job?
Yeah, I know.
Even if you're the best president ever, most of the country hates you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you come out of office and you're a loser.
Yeah.
People don't like you.
Yeah.
Even if you've been super successful, you've taken us out of debt, or like our debt's gone down.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I feel like it gets better. It's like once you're gone, I feel like even like Bush Jr. looking back, like, hey, it was pretty good, sort of thing. And it's so during
true.
you
Looking
can't
back, but not during.
Not during, you can't. You literally can't.
But dude, people were hating on Bush, like the Kanye thing. Like there's so many songs about him, right? Just going to war in Iraq.
Exactly.
But now people look back, they see Trump and like, oh, maybe he wasn't too bad.
Exactly. Look at that cute little guy. Like, yeah.
Oh, he had some funny speeches at the podium.
Exactly. But yeah, I feel like during there's no win. There's no way. Yeah, it's kind of weird to think about. Even towards the end of Obama, people were like kind of ready to move on, sort of thing, and we're pissed about it. But I mean, he tried to bring free healthcare to the country, and they were still pissed at him. So, how do you win, right? But there's some pretty crazy platforms that these guys are running off, like wiping out school debt. Just like from now on, nobody owes a thing.
Who's that one?
Sanders,
Okay.
and a couple of the other young people. I have to say I hope Biden doesn't win, because he gives me the vibe of that politician. He's had some weird comments in the news that are just way off, like dissing military and stuff that, okay, whether or not you're the best candidate, you got to still try to play the game and win, right? And you can't in America talk bad against military or that sort of stuff.
So polarizing.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't he not even like top 5 though?
No, I think he's favored to win the Democratic Party.
Is he?
Yeah.
Who else would be?
I don't know.
It's like him, Sanders. I'm not sure. Yeah, the Asian guy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Is Tulsi Democrat? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure America's ready for a female.
No. She sounds so confident when she is on those platforms though.
I know.
She thinks she's going to win. I guess you have to say those things.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
Who's number one on the Republican side right now? I guess
it's still
Donald?
Trump. I think
is he the only one? There's no one else?
No, they're still riding him. I think they'll introduce somebody late, but he's not even going up against anybody. And I wouldn't be surprised if he wins again and has another 4 years.
I could see that happening.
I wouldn't
easily.
be surprised at all.
Yeah. I was down in Austin last week in Texas and talking to a bunch of Americans, and they're like, wouldn't be surprised. There's still such a hardcore group of Americans that love him, and it's sad because they're the group that vote. Whereas the people who hate Trump don't really vote, or they just like, oh yeah, we hate Trump. Okay, I hate Trump too, sort of thing, right? Whereas it's like that middle America white person who loves Trump and shows up to the polls every year and votes and gets it done. Sort of
I was
thing.
listening to a Joe Rogan podcast that posted in the last week or two, and this guy was a journalist. I don't know where he was, but anyway, they were talking about the 2016 election, and going into the actual election, the Democrats specifically held back like poll results and what was actually happening at campaign rallies and all this kind of stuff, just so they didn't scare their supporters.
Right.
So they were going into the election saying like, oh, you know, we really think we're going to win. We're way ahead. We're not really concerned at all. When in fact, this journalist guy was saying like, it was pretty clear that Trump was ahead.
Right.
Like people weren't happy with Hillary.
They just fucking botched it.
So like they were holding back information from the public who may get someone off their couch to actually vote if they think Trump's going to win.
Yeah.
And they screwed it all up.
That's you got all your campaign has to be is like, you're going to actually vote for this guy, or look, this guy's winning. Let's take action. Let's move forward, sort of thing.
But they're almost too proud to admit that going into it.
Yeah, like,
which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
First of all, that they're holding that information back is kind of screwed up.
Yeah, it is odd. Yeah, because I think when those were coming out, Trump was boasting all of that information, saying, I am there. And you kind of like, well, he's just talking out his ass. That's fake, sort of thing.
And this guy was saying, like, the journalists have the inside scoop because they're going to all these campaigns.
Right.
They're going to all the talks. And they'd say Trump would fill arenas.
Right.
There's 17,000 people at his talks, whereas Hillary would get like 3,000 people.
Right.
There's a bit of a disconnect there.
See that, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I do still think it had a gender play there too. Not only like the career family politician BS, but I think that it's sad to say I don't think they were ready for a female president. Yeah, just crazy.
Do you like any of the, like UBI is an interesting one with Andrew Yang?
UBI,
Universal Basic Income.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you listen to his podcast with Rogan? His idea is to give every single American $1,000 a month.
Yeah. Welfare.
But everyone qualifies.
Yeah.
So if you make $3 million or $15,000 a year,
you still get that.
You still get $1,000. You have to opt out of it.
Right.
Which is interesting. So one of Rogan's things is like, well, how much money is that? There's 360 million people or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Times $12,000.
Yeah.
Whatever. What's those numbers, Carl? We were looking at
trying to find it. Yeah.
Okay. Just use your abacus over there.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to say the word abacus for a long time.
Carry the 3.
But where's that money coming from, kind of thing? And is that actually going to help people?
Right.
Is $12,000 going to help someone? And so Andrew Yang's thing is like technology's taking over a lot of
jobs,
low level jobs.
Yeah.
That like people need to survive.
Yeah. Or is that just going to go right to Apple and people are just going to be buying shit and just,
that's the thing,
or getting lazy and not working because it's like, hey, I can make 12 G's work and throw some sort of half-assed part-time job and kind of get by, sort of thing.
But at least it goes back into the economy, right? I mean, if they're just spending like $6-7 trillion on fucking war efforts and all that shit, where's that money going?
Exactly.
I don't know. If you have like, I guess food, you don't have to worry, and like a roof over your head, I feel like you can do so much more.
Yeah.
It just takes care of so many issues, and you can focus on so many other aspects of your life.
Yeah, maybe that needs to be like food stamps and like rent things, not actual hard cash that they can go and do whatever they want with.
The thing is, no matter what, people are just going to take advantage of it, right? Always. There's always those people.
Totally.
So like to find that balance is going to be tough.
Absolutely. For me, it's still the healthcare piece that like just doesn't make any sense to me. Like how like people are driving down to Mexico to buy insulin for their kid who's diabetic.
That is insane.
Which is just so sad. You're going to Mexico to get reliable, cheap drugs, sort of thing. Or
it's just big pharma has so much pull.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that goes along the lines of like the career politician who just just like it's a system, and they'll just fall in line and make sure a certain group, the gun lobbyists and everybody, get what they need and keep going, sort of thing. But
again, to me, that seems like such a party thing. Like moving up in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, you're,
so there's the
you're
argument
just told
for
that, like, look, we want you to be one of the presidential candidates, but this is how it's going to go.
Yeah. So yeah, there's the argument for like the allowing somebody to like do the opposite of what the party says, or like, yeah, this isn't working, we're going to go this way. And maybe it does take, again, hitting rock bottom and losing to somebody like fucking Trump to be like, all right, clearly we need to shake it up. The population wants something different. Let's just be honest, or something like that. You'd hope that'd be the case, but
why did Trump even want this position?
I mean, President of the United States is pretty badass.
It's all ego, man.
He's got the nuke codes. He's got it all. Like, he's one of what? How many presidents are there? There's been like 50 or something like that.
5 or something. Yeah.
He's got 55 human beings ever.
All the insider alien information.
Exactly.
So it's just ego.
I'm gonna go ego. I think he's growing his brand too.
Yeah,
which is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm. So a good business move.
Good business move. Exactly. He's trying to like host all of like the Congress things through his like hotel in Florida. Like, gets up his bookings and. But yeah, I think it's got to be straight ego. But hopefully it doesn't turn on too much of like this Kanye running, and like I hope it doesn't go that way where it's literally no longer politicians and now it's just like somebody who
it turns into Instagram. It's a popularity contest.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of wild to think about, but
is that bad?
Yeah. I mean,
politicians, man.
Yeah.
I know. I know. But you think of like the social work and the healthcare and the stuff that these people are, the foreign policy, that like these people I have no idea how to make work, and you just throw like
totally, even the relationships with other countries.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
Kanye's just going to piss everyone off.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Which you could say is like, good. Well, we want to piss everybody off and shake it up, but come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really want Kanye in charge of whether or not to bomb ISIS?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Or like Canada. I feel like we're all in agreement that we should bomb ISIS, but but yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, for again, it's like the healthcare fact, like the fact that it's acceptable for them to, if you see somebody dying on the side of the road, if you break it down to the fact that you have to force people to pay, and people are dying because they can't afford to get access to basic level drugs, you're basically saying you're walking past somebody on the sidewalk who's literally dying and being like, sorry, dude, you're dead, and I'll keep walking, sort of thing. And whereas in Canada, we're all saying collectively, I'll throw a penny together and we'll get you what you need, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And they're doing the opposite of that, which is wild. Yeah. But
let's talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
You just ran a marathon.
Yeah.
I was trying to do the calculation. Marathon is 42 point something kilometers?
42.2.
42.2. So I'm going to say that is roughly 28 kilometers more than I've ever run at one period of time.
Yeah.
So basically 3 times.
Yeah.
That's a lot of kilometers.
Yeah, it adds up. It's nothing absurd like you hear nowadays. These people who are doing like, I ran my 50K and like
Moab and 200
100 miles and the 200, and so it almost like the marathon's like discount. It's like it's like the undergraduate degree of running. It's like, yeah, what? Everybody's got one.
One of again, back to Joe Rogan, I listened to a lot of his. He had some ultra marathon runner guy.
Yeah.
Do you remember this guy?
4
Cam Hanes
marathons in a row.
Cameron Hanes, is that?
No, Miller.
I think
pretty recently he broke the 12-hour 100-mile.
He broke the 100-mile time. It was like 11 hours and 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, and the longest distance ran in 12 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
104 miles or something like that. Anyway.
So do you hear what he did? He did the equivalent of 4 straight sub 3-hour marathons.
Oh yeah.
Back to back to back to back. I just did one in 3 hours and 59 minutes. And I was done for a week. I ran 4 in a row at like 25% faster than me.
Did you listen to that podcast?
Yeah, most of it.
So in
The guy
there, he
deviated and
says,
kind of got boring and was just like talking about nothing. But yeah.
in there, he said that the marathon, that distance is the hardest race because it's just short enough that you're trying to push yourself the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's long enough, obviously, to kill you if you go too fast at the beginning.
Yeah. And I think that's funny because in my world,
so you basically did the most difficult thing in running in the history.
I'll take that. But in my world, it's funny because I always talk about it with people at the store and through our run club and stuff. It's like you can race a half marathon, but you survive a marathon. So I think for most people for a lot of people, the change to the marathon distance takes time away, and no longer is it like a time and how fast. It's like you complete a marathon. Very seldom is it like what time did you do the marathon in? It's no, you did the marathon. Whereas this guy's just everything on the next level. So it's
a little bit different.
A lot different. So, but I definitely, I'm sure there's a lot of people who would hear that and think like, oh, marathon, well, you do race it in Boston qualifying and all that. And I'm just not, I can't take myself that serious enough to care that much.
This was a Jeffrey Miller, right?
It was like 4 or 5 days. Right?
Yeah.
It was within the last week or so.
Yeah. But
how do you want it to do a marathon?
No, not really.
You just got offered?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah. So, so I always was like, oh, if I ever run a marathon, I better want to, because to train for it, it's not really the day of. That's like the hay's in the barn at that point. You hope to have done the work, but it's the training that was like the biggest tax on your body and your life and everything. So definitely no, I was like it was not on my radar. I was like one day maybe sort of thing. But then when you get an offer to run the New York Marathon, which is one of the 6 majors, never been to New York before, you can't say no.
Yeah.
So you say yes. And luckily I was heading in. So I found that out. Race was November 3rd. I got the offer mid-August, which usually is not much or not enough time to actually train and do it properly. But luckily I was training.
Not 2.5 months?
Well, it depends on where you're at, right?
Yeah.
But I was training really hard for a half marathon in the middle of August.
Okay.
So I had a solid base that I could then just exactly launch into that marathon training. Whereas if I was like in the 10K thing, it would have been a struggle. I would have completed it. You can complete a marathon. Anybody really can, but it's how much do you enjoy it and how much, is it actually completing it sort of thing.
Do you really enjoy running for 4 hours?
I know. Yeah. That's where I got listened to a heck of a lot of podcasts and training and all of that sort of thing. But I really enjoyed running 4 hours through New York. And there was like from start to finish. So every other race I've ever done is like there's a group of people at the end. There's maybe a group of people at like a corner where it's easy to get to the finish line and watch them again, watch runners go through again. This from start to finish, there was 3 to 10 people lining the course the whole way.
The whole
entire way. So it was like loud and screaming from start to finish.
How many people run it?
53,000.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. So it's like bigger than the Sun Run marathon.
How do you start? Do you have different start times?
Yeah. So it's huge
like
crowd. So like my start time was 10 after 10 in the morning. And I got to the start line at 7:30 in the morning.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And that's like, they are like, you better get there. And they like, so yeah. And you have to ferry out to Staten Island. You wait there and it's like a little village. There's like blue village, green village, orange village. And there's washrooms and coffee and snacks. And then I brought like 10 layers of clothing that I just sat and like was sitting on a grassy field for 2 hours and then just like peeled it off and then went and ran.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And it's just waves and crowds and crowds. So I think the elites went off at 9 and I was probably halfway through the pack and I went off at 10:10. So like people weren't starting till 11 or so. And they just like corral you out sort of thing based on finish time and all that sort of stuff, or estimated finish time. Yeah. So it's like a huge production. Like, I don't know if you've ever even run the Sun Run. You get there and like the gun goes off and it's underway. And it's literally an hour before you like shuffle to the front and then your race starts sort of thing. So people like finish before most people start. which is pretty hilarious.
The Sun Run's like 10,000 people.
No, Sun Run's like 42. Yeah.
It's that big?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
It's like it's the biggest 10K in Canada and one of in North America. It's dwindling, but it's
and it doesn't have start times.
It does have like corrals, but you have to be in your corral at a certain time. So it's that's why like I still had to be there at 8:00. I think was the latest I could get into the village, but then I just had to wait.
That doesn't seem ideal for trying to.
And that's the one thing that I was nervous about on the race day is all my training was like I would get up and start running by 5:30, 6:30 sort of thing, and get up, go to the bathroom, maybe throw a little bit like a scoop of peanut butter or some overnight oats in, and then or a piece of toast with peanut butter on it, and then just start running. Because it's like I don't have time to like sit around and wait and do all this. Like I had to go to work after, and then
you didn't have 3 hours to sit on a grassy knoll.
Exactly, and just park it. And so that was always. And so then you plan like, and I tried to make sure bathroom breaks worked and all of this sort of stuff. And then it was like 2 weeks of the race. I was like, I didn't do any long run where I woke up, ate something, waited 3 hours, see where bathroom break came. Ate something. What do? Eat again and then run? So I was nervous about that, but sort of planned it out and it worked. But I think between 7 while I was at the start line, I think I went to the porta potties like 4 times just to like, I did not want to have to stop or anything.
Half an hour in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd like literally the lineup's so long for the bathroom, like go get in the bathroom, do my thing and just walk to the back of the line and just do it again just to like, just remove all doubt. Just peace of mind. Yeah.
You're just sitting there by yourself?
Yeah, pretty much.
What was it? 2.5 hours? You're just listening to music?
Yeah, music, podcasts. It was hilarious. There's one guy, like loud American guy, like yelling into his phone about his Sunday football bets. I don't know if it was his bookie he was on the phone with or what. He's like, yeah, I like the Titans. And he's just like screaming. He's like, okay, let's do that. And like, I don't know, they're going to fuck me again. And like on. And like, it was so funny. But yeah, it was so cool to run. So you go through all 5 boroughs. You run Staten Island into Brooklyn, through the Bronx. You touch into Manhattan. Then you go to Queens and then you finish Manhattan. So Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan. And it was hilarious to see how many like the population of spectators change through those areas. Like Brooklyn was like hipsters with beards and glasses, like drunk at brunch. And then it definitely changed throughout. I think through Bronx there was the funniest one was this one guy who was just on a corner and he had like a microphone and an amp and like a massive spliff or doobie or something, and he's just like blazing on it, and then he's just like with the microphone, "You got it. That's it, G. You got it. You got that, shorty. Good job. You got this. You got it." And just that's all he said the whole time. It was hilarious. And then, but yeah, so it was like packed from start to finish. Luckily, it was a nice day. It was like 12 degrees in sun. And yeah, you just kind of put one foot in front of the other and just run. Kind of weird to think about too, because I don't think I could like sit here and watch TV for 4 hours without like kind of being like, all right, what are we going to do? Like, let's, I don't know, go outside or do something. So I don't think of many things I could do for 4 straight hours, but there's a lot to look at and see and think about and stuff. Yeah.
If any of you don't know who Evan is, Evan runs a running store. So he's maybe a little bit more advanced in terms of like what it takes to actually run a marathon than most of the population. But like, what did your training look like? And where do people get information on training?
Yeah. So so through the store, FitFirst in Burnaby, like
hold on. I'll let you go in 1 second.
Yeah.
Talking about training. Do you want another beer?
Yeah, I can catch up there. Yeah.
Okay, I'll grab one.
Yeah, sweet.
I'm good.
So luckily, like what I've been pretty proud of is the community that we have, and like it's such a great community of people who want to see each other succeed and everything. So when I let some people know that I got an entry into the New York Marathon, which I have to back up is hard enough on its own. Like you don't just sign up for it. You can only get in via lottery or a really fast time. But once some people found out, one of the friends from the store, his name's Curb Ivanek, and he's a running coach, really awesome guy, really smart guy, and has been doing it for a long time and does trail and marathons and some, I think he's gotten into ultra, but first thing he said, he like replied to an Instagram post that I did and like, hey, how can I help? I want to coach you, sort of thing. Let's build a plan and like, I'd love to help you out, sort of thing. So he kind of sat down and we went through what my goal time was, where my fitness was at. He took a look at like my Strava and what I had been doing over the last 3 months. And then built out a plan that slowly got me toward toward my goal time and distance. And that's the biggest step. Once you have like, all right, if I just do this, then I'll get there. Like it's really, you just have to do the work, and that's all it really takes. If you're trying to get a time or time specific, then yeah, it's challenging. You have to run a certain pace to be at that time. But on my first one, my main goal was to like survive it, not get injured, cross the finish line with a smile. And I hear somewhere around 4 hours would be a decent time. So I wanted to get a time that started with a 3, basically anything under 4 hours. And so he did an interesting plan. And it was all based on time. So it wasn't distance, like, oh, today you run 10K, tomorrow it's 15. It was 60 minutes, 90 minutes. All the way up to, I think my longest training run was 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, really? That long?
Yeah.
That's quite long.
Yeah. So in distance, I did 6 runs that were over 30K. And 2 of which were over 35K.
Wow.
And that was like 1 long run a week. So yeah, basically my schedule was I'm off on Fridays. So that was my long run because I could just do that super early and then not have to do anything the rest of the day or not have at least a responsibility that I have to be like alive in myself with, which worked out most of the time. I worked probably in the end half of those Fridays, but
I wish you had you just had a wheelchair at the store. And on Fridays after your long run, you're just rolling around.
Well, luckily, like working at a running store, it's a full, like if I'm limping around or just like super slow, all you have to do is like, I did my long run today. And everybody's like, oh yeah, you're good. Yeah, exactly. And it does. And it like starts that conversation. But yeah, so Friday was long run, which slowly grew and was getting up to 3 hours, 15 minutes. Then Sunday is our run clinic. So this, I kind of strategically placed myself as our like kind of party pace. I call it. It's our 2 and 2, run 2 minutes, walk 2 minutes in the 10K group. So call it an hour at a very like, I love the 2 and 2 pace, but like a really leisurely place where I'm running for others. I'm not running for myself. Almost, let's call it a move your legs for an hour or shakeout sort of thing. Then
#shakeout, like that.
Yeah. And then what else did I have? So then I had
in your head, you're like, you're an idiot.
I was like, okay. And then Monday was like a tempo run. So it would be a shorter time, but faster and have some intervals in there sort of thing. And then another just like long-ish run. And then Friday. So it was 4 runs a week for basically ended up being about 5 straight months because I trained for the half before that.
You make it sound fairly easy. Are there any points in those long runs where you're walking or where you're like taking a break?
I decided, everybody will do it differently, but I decided not to do that. Sure, if like I tried to map my runs around like catching a water fountain here and there and know where those were. But for the most part, it was straight run. A lot of programs, and even the one that we do at the store is like a 10 and 1, run 10 minutes, walk 1 minute, run 10 minutes, walk 1 minute. But I personally just kind of preferred to just keep going and kind of also I just get too competitive. I'm like, oh, I got 3 hours, 15 minutes and how fast can I go sort of thing, right? So it is all like slow and steady. You're never really huffing and puffing. You're just it's a mental thing. 100%. It's just mental. It's just battling through that mental fatigue. And I think if I didn't have a coach or Curb who like as soon as my watch like saved it, it went to Strava, and he gets a little ding in his inbox, and then sees like how I did, sort of thing.
Is each training run, I assume you have to have some sort of game plan going into running for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So is each one like, okay, my pace time is going to be this today, and you're just like looking at your watch every kilometer, trying to keep that on that number?
Pretty much. So again, by going time based, we didn't care about pace, but I knew the pace that I had to run to get 4 hours. So I was always aiming for quite a bit quicker than that, 15 or 30 seconds per kilometer shorter than that. And then my goal is always to kind of run a bit of a negative split. So hold maybe around goal pace or faster. And then the second half, see if I had some gas in the tank. And for the most part, the runs went pretty well. There was runs where I was like slower and it didn't go that way. But it's just time on your feet is the biggest thing. But yeah, the answer to your question is constantly looking. And luckily every kilometer it beeps you and tells you what pace you're running. But if I ever go up a hill or turn or go down a hill, I'm like checking constantly. Because there's nothing else to think about. And it's just like, you're just constantly looking, where am I sort of thing. Which is where I talk about you, where like, if you run without a watch, I struggle to get that, because I feel like you're just running in the dark. You just like, what, how do you know? It's all just on perceived exertion sort of thing. Whereas this was a little more time-based.
I think I just use it for something different.
The run.
The fitness in my life.
Yeah.
I just like, I don't know if meditation is the right word, but I just use it as a shut off my brain for an hour a day.
Yeah. And that's my favorite part about running. It's not the athletic or the active side, or the physical health, it's the mental health side that I appreciate the most of it.
And I almost think that like everything else in my life I'm so competitive with. I'm super competitive with business and all that kind of stuff. And that's what runs most of my life.
Yeah.
So it's almost nice slowing down for a second mentally.
Yeah.
For that 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is.
Otherwise,
so maybe that's what I like about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Honestly, in my head, I have I'm maybe starting to get a little bit competitive with it, because I'm thinking about doing half marathons now.
Yeah. You should join us January 19th. We kick off.
Half marathon training?
Marathon training.
Sunday mornings?
Sunday morning.
Also,
you'll be home in time for the 10:15 kickoff time.
I'm around people my entire day and like talking to people the entire day.
Believe me,
So I kind of like that it's solo.
Yeah.
Like I don't like going to a Gold's gym or anything where there's 80,000 people wearing tank tops in there.
Totally.
I like working out in my condo gym by myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm very open to trying a run clinic for once a week.
Sure.
It's just like, it's almost my solidarity time per day, which I've kind of started to enjoy.
So to run a half marathon, you have to run more than once a week. So you'll still get that.
I
know.
I'm saying I can flex one day a week.
I know. So, but definitely like that for me was like, so many people through the store, like, wow, you're doing that alone. And, how do you, like, I couldn't run alone, or I wouldn't get myself there. And like, that was the appeal to me. Like that was, I looked forward to it. Like it was best case scenario that I was alone. I didn't have to worry about going too fast or too slow for somebody else. I didn't have to talk to anybody. That's the best part. Like my whole day has just been talking all day, every day. If there's nobody in the stores, to staff, it's on the phone trying to get business or get other stuff done, or it's to customers. So like that was the best part of my day, is like, I'm just solo, I'm gone sort of thing. So that's, I completely get that and would understand the appeal of like, if I'm going to train for half marathon, but the reason I want to is because I can do it alone, sort of thing. Yeah.
During training, do you listen to music and podcasts running?
Yeah. Not really music. I'll either listen to nothing or podcasts. For me, it's like I need to hear people talking and have like this conversation going that I'm following along to, that all of a sudden I look up and it's like, it's 11K, but whoa, that's 2K further than I last looked at my watch or whatever sort of thing. So that was huge. It was like constantly, all my Friday runs. Bill Simmons came out with a podcast on Thursday where he guessed the lines of the week for the upcoming football week. And then has a few, like, it was that followed by a crime podcast about some fucked up people in the world who
Which crime podcast are your favorite?
Crime Beat.
Yeah.
With the chick from Alberta, Global News Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
There's some twisted people out there, man.
Is Bill Simmons the NFL guy? I don't know who that is.
He's the guy, and I could be wrong here. I think he's the guy who was the 30 for 30 ESPN was his kind of brainchild.
Okay.
And he kind of grew bigger than ESPN, and he wanted to not just follow the party, do his own thing and have all these ideas. And I think they eventually outed him. He then kind of teamed up with HBO and tried to come out with his own little platform. And now he finally pretty successfully has come out with the Ringer podcast network.
Okay.
And he's huge into basketball. His biggest thing is basketball.
Okay.
He did that book called The Book of Basketball. He ranked like the top 100 players ever, and like dove right into it big time. The only thing I don't like about him is he's such a Boston homer. Every conversation goes back to either the Celtics or the Pats every time, and that's what will force me to turn him off. But yeah, so
he has guests on.
Yeah, guests on,
and just
some regular
sports.
guests, and then he'll mix in like it's funny to see the circuit that some of these guys go on. Like he has a lot of the guests that Joe Rogan has on too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ed Norton was on with them on the same week, and they cycle through. So he definitely expands that and goes outside of. But he has like probably 15 different podcasts. One's like Rewatchables, it's called, and they rewatch movies and then like break them down and talk about how awesome they are and like what ages the best and what doesn't. Speaking of, like, I'm sure there's so many movies that quotes are like, you can't even be aired on TV anymore, which we like watched and quoted and everything. So, but yeah, it's pretty good.
I understand his obsession with podcast. Like it's so obsessive. I'm just completely obsessed with the platform. Now I have 3, and literally it's just things that I want to talk about, which is so cool, right? It's so cool that you actually have a platform like this to be able to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
So now
you have 3.
like, I have 3 different ones now.
Jesus.
So Zero to Here is literally my outlet for talking to interesting people that I just want to learn from.
Yeah.
And just want to like have conversations with. Seahawks Social.
Yes. Yeah.
Weekly Seahawks recaps. Literally just because I love the Seahawks and want an opportunity to talk about them every week. And then Jamie and I just started a Garbage Demo real estate podcast where we are talking real estate topics.
Nice.
Which will be released in January, hopefully. We have
Carl,
4.
business is good, hey?
I know, right?
Look at that. Jeez, are you producing all these too?
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Carl's probably like, what? That guy has 13. Denny only has 3. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
And call some guys up.
Yeah, that's funny. And what does it take? Like you're talking to people, you're finding people, but I guess it takes like a passionate topic and something you want to do is the number one, right?
One of the things Carl said to me early on, maybe like 5 or 10 episodes in, he's like, I think you said it to me specifically, but you're like, you and the podcast are so much better when you're passionate about a topic.
Right.
So I don't know what we were talking about, whether it was a real estate person or I don't know what it was. I can't remember, but he's like, they're just so much better.
Yeah.
And I love the Seahawks, obviously. So I just wanted to veer off and start a Seahawks one because it's hilarious and awesome.
Yeah. And, but otherwise,
what does it take? It literally takes nothing. Yeah. It takes like 2 mics. Carl calls these things booms. And
really?
It takes,
is that a boom?
Boom.
It's a boom.
I thought a boom was like the floating mic or like
anything that holds a mic.
Anything that holds a mic is a boom.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like the actual, like, I'll sound so dumb.
Like the guy holding the thing?
Or just the actual thing that received, which is a mic, but like enhance the receiving of a mic.
Those are
the sideline
Thomas
domes.
the Trains. We got the Thomas the Trains down there. See those things?
Yeah.
What are those called?
Cloud lifters.
I call them Thomas the Trains. They look like trains, don't they?
The square block on the ground there?
The blue blocks.
Yeah. And some gear. Yeah. It's impressive. It's like there's to be able to like take an idea but actually be that passionate about it and talk about it once a week, 3 times a week, because this is your 70th, you said, or you'll get 70 in this year.
Yeah, we've posted 77 so far. We have
Includes
3 or 4.
includes Seahawks.
That's it.
No, that's
No.
just earlier.
That's
See?
another 10
At least.
Yeah.
minimum.
Maybe 12, 13 by the end of the year.
But rewind. You said so. You talk all day and you look forward to times of being alone and silent, and
Okay.
yet all your side
So-
gig is like talking.
I love this
Yeah.
conversation though. I get so much personally out of one-on-one conversation. So I really like talking to people about experiences. I get nothing out of going to networking events and saying hi to 27 people.
Right.
I get a lot out of having
I
in-depth
get
conversations
anxiety out
over
of that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin.
No.
I'm so awkward walking up to someone,
Yeah.
a random person I've never met, and saying, "Hey, what's your name?"
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
I
it's brutal.
feel like we should be much more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But
But
I don't
yeah,
know.
so
anyway, I get a
one-on-ones are
lot out
go-to.
of these things.
Yeah.
Even just like, I have 3 more questions written down, or just like topics written down about like mentally what you go through during the training.
Yeah.
Did you have any injuries? How do you overcome them?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do to recover? I just literally to educate myself,
Right,
and
right.
hopefully other
A
people.
couple
listening.
people. Yeah.
So I just really like the in-depth conversations rather than like, hey, my name's Denny. Okay, Evan, nice to meet you.
Right.
What do you do for a living? I run a running store.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's exciting. How
Yeah.
long have you been doing that? 5 years. Okay, great.
See you never.
Next
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
Means nothing to me.
For sure.
So I'd rather have like, let's
Fewer.
say 80 genuine conversations this year
Yeah.
than like meet 400 people
Random. Yeah.
for 5 minutes.
No, that makes sense. And especially when you're kind of like filtering and finding those people, or somebody else refers and, hey, you should chat to this. And I'm sure you're constantly reaching out to other people as well.
It's so cool to have Instagram as a platform that.
Yeah.
Instagram, first of all, for whatever reason, podcasts are cool right now. So
Yeah, I know.
when you say, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? People are a lot more likely to respond to you than, hey, do you want to go for coffee?
Yeah.
It's so strange.
Yeah, that's true. I bet. Yeah.
It's crazy how like open and excited people are to have a conversation over a podcast rather than like, hey, do you want to meet at Starbucks on fucking Main and 10th tomorrow?
Yeah. But that's like, I guess that's content too. Like, is it self-serving by the other person and being so much more game too, or does it legitimize what you're asking?
Honestly,
of
what I'm
them?
finding is so obviously like media puts this into our heads too, but I think there's a lot more genuine good people out there that are really motivated, that want to make themselves better than you
Right.
think they are.
Right.
And I think the negativity on social media is so loud right now.
Yeah.
And everything you see is negative, that the positivity is just kind of hidden.
Drowned out. Yeah.
But if you look for it, there's so many people that are like excited to meet someone like themselves.
Right. Yeah. And is there, I guess, does it shade our assumption to like, oh, negative, or don't want to, or I'm bugging them or whatever, when really it should be the opposite sort of thing.
Or I've had multiple conversations with friends where they're just like, oh, there's no good people in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver sucks.
Yeah.
Everyone's
I hear
so
it all the time.
critical. All
And
they do is
dating,
complain
right?
about
It's-
real
yeah.
estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
You can't date anyone in Vancouver. All the girls are stuck up.
Yeah.
Like I've had multiple
Yeah.
friends that say this.
Yeah.
They're all entitled.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how many have you dated? 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty small sample size.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you hear the same thing in the reverse. It's like the guys are
Totally.
brutal and everything too.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's yeah, I guess like you're definitely right in the sense like the negativity, and that's like the broken thing with social media, which
Mhm.
I hate about it, is the negativity is the leading aspect of it, it seems.
Mhm. It's cool to be the change though. Because
Yeah.
even just like this year with the fitness thing every day,
Yeah.
with like I'd say 95% of anything I put out is like very positive based. Like,
Yeah.
let's get better type
Right.
of thing.
Right.
Or this is something I learned.
And you feel
And-
that love coming back to you.
Yeah. Like regardless of whether people comment or not, I'm not going to change
No.
the direction that I want it to go.
No.
But like, it's pretty cool to hear people comment back and just be like, we've been following you for a year. Like, thank you.
Right.
I've had like 3 or 4 people this year. I know it's small, but
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 is more
Yeah,
than 0.
absolutely.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Say like literally just watching you run and work out every day has gotten me back into
That's
the gym
huge.
this year.
That's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And think how many people maybe think that, or at least even got out for one who didn't comment or send you a note.
100%.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's well, what you put out is what you get back, sort of thing, right?
Mhm.
Which is huge. The other thing I that bugs me with social media though is I'm not big on social media. Is like the keeping up with the Joneses and the keeping up sort of thing, and how skewed everything it seems to be or is, and you just can't believe any of it anymore, I guess. And how much do people need to know, want to know, how much, all of those things. But I mean, I know people are living and surviving and thriving off just the social media platform. So maybe it's just I'm too old school or something. I don't know.
I think it's almost just shifting the mindset a little, because that stuff is so loud.
Right.
Meaning like you see it all the time, which the algorithm kind of pushes towards you.
Sure.
But I think there's so much on the other side too that maybe you just need to dig a little deeper for or search for.
Right.
And I think the opportunity on social media is something that business people have never seen before.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if you listen to Gary Vee, but Gary Vee does a very good job of explaining how crazy it is.
Yeah.
And just like, this is the new TV. Like, no one watches the TV.
Right.
Whenever a commercial comes on in their show, they're looking at their phone on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, this is the platform. This is where attention is. He always talks about attention.
Right.
This is where people's attention is.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you're marketing a business or selling a product or whatever, this is
You gotta
where
be
you
there.
need to spend money.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's opening their mailers.
No.
They just go straight in the garbage.
Yeah.
So, and it's way cheaper to market on that thing than it is to send fucking mail.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like listening to those guys that are doing it extremely well.
Yeah.
Just kind of puts it into perspective. And like, so I think like for me, it was kind of, I was like that a lot. I didn't start using Instagram every day until like a year and a half ago, maybe
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's more just like, this is such an opportunity rather than like, oh, I need to keep up with everyone else that is doing this.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's like for me, it's almost like there's this, it's another sense sort of thing. And I think communication in general, it's so instant and it's so all the time that it's, you have this other, I don't know, sense or like existence sort of thing, which for me, I guess maybe I'm a bit of an introvert, is just too much, man. Like
I'm with you there.
yeah. It's too much at times.
What do you not like about it? So to me, I was probably exactly the same as you 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought, oh shit, I sell real estate now. I have to post shit on social media just so
Right.
people can see it.
Yeah.
Whereas like 2 years ago, I kind of shifted the mindset into like such an opportunity to be myself, tell
Right.
people who I am.
Right.
If they like it or not, totally up to them. They can click one button and unfollow me.
And stop following. Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I won't even know if they unfollow me.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to sell our business,
Yeah.
opportunity to sell the product that we're working with, but it is literally a 24/7 resume for us.
Right.
So people have us in like real estate specific, obviously people have us into listing appointments and they're like, you don't need to sell yourself. We know exactly who you are. We've been following you for 2 years.
Right.
When we're going to sell with you because we know exactly what you
Of
do.
all those things. Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas you're not going in trying to market yourself because you're currently in. I've
We
already
used to.
done that. Yeah.
Early in my career, I did that a lot.
Right.
But now it's probably gotten to the point where it's like 40%, 50% of the time going into listing appointments, people are only talking to us.
Right.
Which is insane.
And how does that work? A listing appointment, usually you're kind of like, so I'm Denny and I sell real estate and like I'd love to sell your home for you, sort of thing.
It's like a traditional sales pitch. It's
Yeah.
like going in there saying like, this is what we do well. This is how we market homes. This is what we've done in your neighborhood. These are the recent sales. This is what we think your home's worth. This is what we do to market it. This is kind of our strategy. This is how we communicate, blah, 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 blah.
And they just sort of send a feeler out, or how do you even get that person? Like, how are you? Sorry, I don't know this whole.
No, that's totally okay. It's like any business marketing. So today, where's people's attention? It's social media, it's internet, it's Google.
Yeah.
So I heard this stat recently. I have no data to back it up. I just heard it somewhere. I heard that 70% of people either know a realtor or have a friend who has referred them a realtor.
I believe that. Yeah.
70%. So 30% is left.
Yeah.
So like Jamie and I talk about this all the time. How do we capitalize the 30%?
Right.
How do we get the 30%?
Right.
And where do people go? If you didn't know a realtor, if you didn't know anyone in real estate, where are you going to find a realtor? What are you going to do what's your very first thing
Google.
Google. So let's say you're buying in Mount Pleasant, Vancouver realtor.
Yeah.
Vancouver's top realtor.
Yeah.
Any variation of that.
Exactly.
SEO.
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
That's where Jamie 10 years ago spent a ton of effort.
Yeah.
So our website for New West, Burnaby, and Vancouver were getting better, but it's so competitive. Tri-Cities were getting better. Like ranks really high.
Right.
So in New West, when you Google New Westminster Realtor New West, variations of that, our website is number 1.
Yeah.
And then it's like followed by Remax, which is just a generic brand.
Yeah.
And then Yelp.
Right.
And then another individual realtor.
Right.
So we get a ton just from Google search.
Just from that. Yeah.
And then
huge.
once this is what I do with other product is Google like what the product is. And then I would go onto social media, or if it's a service, go onto social media and look what they're doing on social media.
Or reviews or
Exactly.
Yeah,
Google reviews is huge, but that helps your Google rank too.
Yeah.
So then they're going to social media and saying, okay, Garbage Doom Real Estate Team ranks first. We're going to look at them on social media. Here's their page. Oh, it's Denny and James. Okay, great. We're going to look at their personal pages.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we kind of like these guys' personalities.
Yeah.
Let's just call them.
Yeah. I see that funnel. Yeah, that makes sense. And, but I guess pulling it back, at least on the personal thing, I don't get excited about selling myself or the hard sell and maybe to a fault sort of thing. Like even in our run clinics at the store, it's all like encouragement and getting people there. Way to go for showing up, all of those things. And the last thing that I ever mention or bring forward is like, oh, and you get a little discount too. And hey, we sell shoes sort of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to actively be more forward about that. But
let me put it this way though, and then see what your reaction is. It sounds like you're thinking of social media as being very self-serving. So it sounds like you're saying it's a platform where you put a photo or video out and it's saying, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Yeah.
Whereas what if you reshape your mindset into how do I provide value to people that would be searching for someone like me?
Right.
So maybe someone who wants to get back into shape and wants to join a run clinic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the top 5 things to do to get back into shape.
Right.
Or like when you're looking for a run clinic, look at these things.
Right.
1, is it close to you? 2, is it blah, 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 blah. 3, is it people like you and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's providing value. Or, hey, doing a video on like you made a decision to, or one of your goals this year is to run a half marathon.
Yeah.
What are the steps to do that? You've never done that before? Great. Neither did I 2 years ago. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it.
This is what it is. Yeah. I see what you mean. And the fact that it really should be like, bring value. If you want to be here, come hop on, check it out and leave if you want, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly where I am right now. So on my personal Instagram page, I probably have like 4 posts.
Yeah.
Like likes, just it does nothing for me.
Right.
Nothing. Right. But like recently I've started like I have a renovation company, so I started a Instagram for that, and just kind of like messaging with people, kind of not about yourself, but about like construction and materials or whatever.
Yeah.
It separates yourself, and I'm finding it so much more engaging and so much cooler. And you just pick up so many things.
I think if you can so this is what I think about almost every time that I post something on Instagram is how do I put what I want to say into something that other people could take value from. So whether it's sharing something that went through my head that day that helped me get through a tough situation,
right,
or something real estate related that most of the public doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like even just having that thing in my head of like, is this going to help someone potentially?
Right.
Is huge. So whether I get 20 likes or 120 likes makes no difference.
No difference.
But if you get one comment being whether someone's engaging with you or asking questions or whatever, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You're throwing it out there.
And then it throws you, it actually makes you think that you're kind of on the right track.
Right. And that's maybe part of, for me too, is like is it an insecurity of like, no, I'm not a information resource, or there's no way, but when really, I mean, it's all I do every day sort of thing. I probably know a thing or two. But maybe, yeah, it's probably is like a sense of like, oh, nobody wants to hear from me sort of thing.
That was so much the same thing as me, man.
Yeah. Like,
it was so much. You know what changed for me? It was actually really cool. Lucas, one of the guys on our team, I think he's been on our team for almost 2 years. 2 years next March or something like that. A few months after being on our team, like all the realtors call me all the time just to ask like weird questions of weird contract things. And he said something along the lines of like, how do I get all the information in your head into my head?
Right.
And then I'm like, do I really know that much stuff? Like, this just seems second nature to me now. I've done whatever, a few hundred deals.
Yeah.
And so that kind of switched a little bit for me, but it just consistently,
that's a good way to say it.
You just keep getting those little reminders every day, which push the self-confidence rather than the insecurity.
Yeah.
And like one was, I did first ever, well, other than like saying a speech at my siblings' weddings, but that doesn't really count because you're drunk.
Yeah.
I did like a first ever like public speaking talk where I was actually invited and people wanted to hear what I had to say, which is kind of weird to even think about.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I'd say there was like just over 50 people there. Afterwards, I had like 10 guys come up to me and like ask more questions and be like, thanks so much for coming. That was really good. I felt like I connected with you really well.
Yeah.
So just like getting that feedback is pretty cool too.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, even like I'll do, last month I did like a talk at 40th to, I think they had like 100 people registered and did the same thing. And then, a ton of people asked me questions after. And I don't know, even still, I'm just like, oh, how much? Yeah. And it's probably something I need to fix. And really, like, I'll talk about it at work all the time. It's like, we're doing all this stuff. And right now we've got like, or at times it feels like we've just got like a big curtain up in front of everybody. Like everything's happening in the background. It's like amazing, cool stuff. Like, how do we just like take that curtain and show everybody what's going on, sort of thing. And it's a platform like that, or like this, or like video that will allow that to happen. But for me too, one of the biggest challenges in my business is the work at the business, not on the business sort of dilemma of like, it's retail, right? So the margins aren't amazing. The trying to find staff, reliable staff, inventory management, and then throwing a full marketing piece. Like, you know how many hats I wear, and it's not an excuse, but it's like, oh man, it's insane. You'll have all these plans for the day or for the week, and then like the credit card machine will go down. Or
okay, let me say, do you know how valuable that information is though? Because there's so many young people like me 5 years ago, you 5 years ago, that have no clue what it actually takes, right?
Exactly.
So even just sharing those stories, it's not all glamorous.
Right.
A lot of days fucking suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other cool part is once you're actually honest and you're sharing a lot of those stories on Instagram, people will reach out to you.
Right.
Often and be like, I was there exactly 5 years ago. These are the couple things that I learned in the last year.
Right.
And then now you're just building connections through sharing your experience.
And it's just rolling right on up. Yeah.
And people, first of all, people love others that are genuine, but business people want to help other business people out.
Right.
A lot of people are so willing to share information that they could absolutely keep private because they're crushing with these different marketing techniques or things that they're doing
and things.
But so many people are just willing to share.
Yeah.
Because they were in your shoes 3 years ago.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah. And I think I'd be the same way if I saw something where it's like, oh dude, I went through exactly that. Like, I know how to help you out sort of thing, or this was the solution. Yeah, it's huge. Like I was just down in Austin at an event called the Running Event in Texas. We go every year. And yeah, there's a group of about 25 Canadian independent stores who we go down 2 days before this conference to like meet and share best practices, ideas, struggles, all of those things. And like the most valuable thing is being in the room with people just like me who are managing 17 to 25-year-olds and dealing with the public and selling shoes that you can get anywhere and everywhere, and trying to market a service or provide a service, a community space, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I guess the other part of it too, that maybe pulls me away or doesn't have me as motivated to be as engaging on the social platform is for me, it's very little of it is like dollar driven, and maybe it needs to be more so. But it's, for me, like the most rewarding thing is helping somebody who's come off a terrible surgery or fall or walks into Run Clinic on week 1 because they were on the couch and clicked something and felt the need to buy the Run Clinic then, and then showed up week 1 being like, holy crap, what did I do? And making that person feel welcome and get them to their goal or halfway to their goal. Or
okay, but we're back to the exact point that you said to me, right? You said, sure, 3 or 4 people commented, but how many more people are sitting at home that don't say anything?
Right.
So now I'm going to throw it at you saying, okay, that 1 or 2 people came to your Run Clinic, but how many more are sitting at home just thinking like, fuck, I just had knee surgery. I have no idea where to start.
Yeah.
How do I even start?
Yeah.
And I think reaching out to someone on a social platform is so much easier mentally than showing up at a Run Clinic or whatever it is.
Yeah. And I guess seeing it for a year or 6 months or something eventually brings that person in. Like, how many people have you seen who was like, oh yeah, I listen to your podcast or whatever for a year and are only telling you or only saying I finally did or didn't or whatever.
But they don't have to reach out.
No,
they don't have to message you.
No.
But if you're putting it like, even if you share that one experience, being like, some lady came in who just had a broken foot and she hasn't been able to walk for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So she's been a little bit out of shape, but we just kind of got her back on this program that is like, walk for 10 minutes tomorrow. Yeah. Then the next day, walk for 12. Then take a day off.
Yeah.
Then the next day, try to do a 3-minute jog. You know, like little things like that.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Where someone might just watch it and be like, okay, I can actually do this.
Right.
But you'll never know about it.
Right.
At least not right away.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. Like all those things are happening, and we just need to find a way to pull the curtain back and show some people, I guess.
One of the cool, so I'm super weird if you haven't figured it out. I keep saying that, so maybe it's just an insecurity of mine to point it out.
Yeah.
This line in my head that I always use is, no one knows what they're doing. Everyone's just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So for me, it helps me get over that insecurity of like imposter syndrome type thing.
Right.
Am I actually good enough to do this?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to listen to me? All that kind of shit.
Yeah. Because that's real for me.
I'm trying to figure stuff out. There's some things that I'm really good at now in real estate.
Yeah.
There's other things business-wise that I am so bad at.
Right.
Managing people, I'm getting better, but I'm still very mediocre.
Right.
So I feel like no one starts good. You always start shitty.
Yeah.
And you just like try to progress, try to keep getting better every year, try to keep learning new things. And I think the value of sharing that information is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I rephrase it in my head like that no one knows what they're doing, kind of makes me think like, oh, all right, well, even if that guy has a crazy successful business with 50 employees, started from somewhere, probably didn't know what he was doing 30 years ago.
Exactly.
And he's still trying to get better.
Yeah.
I haven't met any successful business person that is just like, yeah, I'm crushing it.
Yeah.
They're always like, yeah, but we have these big goals for next year.
Right.
So they're still trying to figure it out how to get to.
Or I'll have like meetings with people and it's like, you're waiting for some like big boss to roll in, and it's just like, people are human, right? And they're normal, and it's like average dude, and like, fuck, how do you...
I keep saying dude, I mean like person. Average person.
Exactly, average person, and it's like, oh, fuck, how do I gotta reset my password, like, I hate this. And like, oh, I know that. I live that. And it like brings you back down, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or brings the lure, the like, the uncertainty of like, am I doing the right thing? Do I know enough? I'm not good enough. All those things, and kind of is like, oh wow, not everybody does, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I still think that social media adds to all of that, and maybe that's an outlook thing. But I think it very easily, I wonder if it motivates people more or if it makes people depressed more. And I think it does the latter.
So I think it does absolutely both.
Yeah.
I think there are people that look at it and think, oh, why am I not that pretty? Why am I not that in shape?
Sure.
Why am I not that successful?
Yeah.
This person's crushing me,
Why not?
whatever.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of other people the other way, and I'm more concerned about them.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people that follow some sweet real estate agents like Ty that we had on recently that are crushing it video marketing wise.
Yeah.
And are following him just to pick up tips that he does really well.
Right.
And so I'm more concerned about that.
Right.
My mindset is not looking at someone on social media and saying, why am I not like them? My mindset is being like, they're doing really well. What can I learn from them?
Right. What can I snag off them?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And not like, why aren't I them? It's what can I use to become myself, but use them as a launching pad sort of
Just
thing.
use little things that they're doing
Yeah.
to help you be more successful or save time or whatever it may be.
For sure. And yeah, I guess the more I think, like when I share my opinions on all of it, it's not, I don't think of it as a self-serving thing. I think of it more of like, geez, it's affecting all these people, or it's clogging people's minds, or it's having people just staring at their phone and everything. And I don't know. I don't think of it as a thing that I should be exposing to further myself in success sort of thing.
I think of it as people are looking at their phone. I'm not going to change that.
Right.
How can I provide any value while they're looking at their phone?
Right. So if you can change that narrative on your own, or be a part of the person that does change the narrative.
Like people go home and watch Netflix for 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
They're probably on their phone 4 hours a day at work.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get into the Netflix game.
I know.
Your stand-up special.
Our podcast on
Yeah.
Netflix, Carl?
No.
No, right?
Carl, can you call Netflix right now and see if we can get the podcast on Netflix?
Yeah, give me a sec.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Patch him in.
Yeah. So
Like, it's almost like, why not bring a positive spin to a platform that has a lot of negativity?
Yeah.
I'm not that good at it. I'm just like trying to get better, and I see there's a lot of value there.
Right.
An opportunity to bring a lot of value there.
For sure.
Where do you see the most negativity?
I'm going to go to the bathroom while you answer that.
Yeah.
Like when you say like social media, the whole negative aspect and stuff, like what do you mean by that exactly?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't want to sound like
Do you think just people being fake?
it's like
I think that hurts kind of.
it's the fake. It's the, I don't know. I'm not a negative guy. I try not to let it affect me too much. I don't sway one way or the other too hard of like loving it or hating it or thinking it's the best or it's the worst.
I feel like we're pretty similar.
Yeah.
I'm very neutral.
Yeah. Kind of like a little bit indifferent overall. But yeah, there's like everything from like the like cheap consumerism of like, oh, this trend and that sort of thing that's just so brutal. And then down
the
to
cheap trends is huge, man.
Right?
That's
like
a big one.
Like,
Yep.
yeah. Do you still have a fidget spinner at home or, but you know,
Somewhere.
like
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. And then,
But if it's not on Instagram, it's going to be somewhere else. Somewhere else is going to
yeah,
blow it up.
yeah. Where else is gonna, yeah, I don't know. I just, for some reason, maybe I'm like old school, or I envy the day before.
You just hide.
Yeah, exactly.
No one
Before
knows.
like this fucking computer was glued to my hip and people could just tap me on the shoulder
'Cause-
anytime and every time they ever wanted to. And it's like on me to be 15 minutes or 15 seconds to
Right.
reply, respond, or
Exactly, yeah.
comment, or
There's that pressure on you, right?
of like nonstop, always being, not monitored, but like, there sort of thing.
I think like the thing that you just have to get used to is like realize like any picture, any video, any podcast, all that stuff will just live forever on the internet.
Right.
And you can't, I guess bog your mind down with thinking that way,
Right.
because
Too
you're
overwhelming.
always worried that something's going to come from the past and bite you.
Yeah.
But I think in this time of day, you just can't live like that.
No.
Everything is online.
Yeah, for sure.
And you work for yourself, so you're not being judged by anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I get like if you work for the government or like you're a teacher, you need to be pretty filtered
Yeah.
in terms of what you put up.
For sure.
But if you work for yourself, I think equally the amount of people that enjoy your personality and enjoy that you're being yourself versus like, oh, he shouldn't have sworn.
Right.
He shouldn't have said that. I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think most people, especially in 2019, maybe the fucking 65 plus crowd, which maybe I don't appeal to.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Shocked, eh?
But like, maybe that's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I think most people in 2019 just appreciate genuine people rather than
For sure.
filtered politician, you know?
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
stuff.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. It's
I'm not like, I feel like it's almost coming as we're like aggressively attacking like your mindset, but it's more just that I was the exact same 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And these are just all the things that I've come to understand how differently you can think about it.
Right. Which I definitely appreciate. And it's not like I'm digging my feet in and saying like, hell no, or anything like that. But yeah, I guess it's like, I need to care more. I can't say I care enough or something like that. Maybe
I don't think that's true, because
issue.
the example that you just gave, saying like you don't really care about the money.
Yeah.
You're more worried about like helping the process of someone getting back from from an injury.
Yeah.
Recovering from an injury.
Yeah.
So you do care.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
You care a lot about helping people.
For sure.
And so helping people in person is fantastic. It's one-on-one.
Yeah.
Providing that type of expertise and knowledge through a platform, whether it's social media, whether it's video blogging, YouTube, whatever it is, can reach hundreds and thousands of people.
For sure. So maybe I don't care enough.
That's how I feel too. Do you think maybe too is because like we never grew up with this stuff, right?
Exactly.
Like we didn't have our first smartphones till like what, year 4 or 5 in university?
Yeah.
Whereas kids nowadays are just posting everything and everything. They don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
So do you think that's like a little bit of a border?
Yeah, maybe I wasn't trained that way to kind of think like, oh, how can I throw this up there, or what's the best angle, or whatever it is.
Because when we were growing up, right, everyone taught you to be private on the internet, right? Hide your stuff, don't have your information out there. Until like the last, I guess, 10 years, all of that has changed.
Yeah, for sure. And now it's get
Growing
it all
pains.
up there, and yeah. I don't know.
We can come back to this at another date.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Do you have another like 15 minutes?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Can we talk about FitFirst a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm pumped about, 'cause I obviously being like business self-employed background.
Yeah.
I appreciate the struggle and the effort.
For sure.
I've loved seeing the growth.
Yeah.
Also, it kind of blows my mind that in a retail environment, you continue to grow every year, which is fucking difficult.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah. Without all these too heavy social media and everything. Might I add. That should be noted.
Carl, maybe everyone else is wrong.
That should be noted.
Evan's on this path that is just blowing the world
I'm
up.
zigging while y'all are zagging. Yeah.
Maybe just talk about like the start of it, like how you got into it.
Yeah.
Obviously, your dad's been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, was it a difficult decision to go into fitness retail or how long has it been? 5 years?
We're in our 6th now.
6th year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my dad was always obviously in the industry. So I grew up around a running shoe store, and tons of memories around like stores closed, bombing around on shoe stools and all of that, throwing shoebox at each other, and going through into university, kind of thinking about the accounting background and business and that sort of thing. And it just didn't ignite much in me. And it was those meetings where you have to go and try to connect with somebody in front of 400 people, and like I'm sweating just thinking about it, sort of thing. and I had no enjoyment out of that, and knew I couldn't really make that work in any way. And so then this opportunity came up where my dad was approached about considering and opening a second store at the 40th Center in Burnaby. And a bunch of stuff was going on through university and like my health, where I was kind of confused or not sure where to go. And this sort of came up, and I was like, hey, that could be cool. And opening a store would be pretty fun. Try to make it my own, and not sit behind a desk all day, work with people, work with cool brands that I've always loved, be in that sort of industry. So kind of like, sure, and didn't really necessarily know what I was getting into. And then then the doors opened. It wasn't then doors open, but then it all starts to happen, and you're like, holy crap, what are we doing here?
I think there's a lot of value in being naive, though.
Yeah, and that definitely was the case.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember like a close family friend, they're like, oh, you always think of, and I guess it's terrible to think of like, what's the worst, or what if it doesn't work, all those things. I'm definitely confident that I'm more than employable coming out of this, because I feel like I've learned so much. And one of our close family friends, kind of said like, I'd hire somebody like you because you're coming out after 2 years of doing that. You have more experience than anybody with a master's degree and an MBA or anything like that, because you can't really teach that. You can't learn that sort of thing unless you just do it.
For sure.
So yeah, year one was definitely, it was 7 days a week, and I was the only person in the store for the most part until we kind of hired another person who was in 2 days a week. And it was just trying to make sure everybody who came through the door had a good experience and felt the need to tell somebody else. And then, yeah, across the 5 years, our run clinics and community is the biggest thing. Like, we're selling shoes that you can get anywhere. Let's be real. It's kind of a commodity. So how do we bring value, whether it's service advice, or just like, hey, a cool place to go, get good advice, catch up with somebody, and get the things that I need and know that I got the right things, sort of thing. And so run clinics have been a big thing. We this fall we had 153 people registered for our run clinic.
Versus how many in year one?
9.
Oh,
That's pretty cool to see that growth.
For sure.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
See 153 people show up on Sunday morning.
Yeah. And it's like a little institution. There's leaders, and you're like, I enjoy these clinics so much more. And it's like, oh yeah, everybody knows our logo now, and at races, and there is like this huge community of people who have connected and engaged through the store, which is pretty cool to think about.
It's so like, it's cool to see 153 people show up, probably.
Yeah.
But how much cooler is it to see how much those 153 people value coming to that?
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing, is like, yeah, like I've gotten so many messages of yeah, like, you've changed my life and all of that sort of stuff, which is definitely the most rewarding
For sure.
part. And it's the person who comes to the run clinic, I definitely resonate or connect with and get more joy out of. And I still haven't found like the right way to say this, like, but like the back of the pack person or the slower person is the person that I'm excited to see show up, be there. I want them to have the best possible experience. It's the person at the front of the pack that also needs attention and needs to feel welcome and all those things. But I get way more out of the people at the back of the pack, sort of thing, and seeing them show up every single week, and then maybe move from the 2 and 2 pace up to the 4 and 2 pace, and then move from the 10K to the half, and so on, sort of thing. And we definitely have quite a few people who have done that, who like, hey, I've never run before, and now after 3 or 4 years have completed a 50K or done their 5th marathon, or that sort of thing.
It's cool to see the progression from starting working on your own.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you think your job is to sell shoes. Like, how do I sell more shoes?
Yeah.
How do I sell more shirts?
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I sell my homes?
Yeah.
Whereas like, it's so much bigger than that.
Totally.
And you're changing people's lives.
Yeah.
With fitness, with health, with investing in real estate. And it's cool how the mindset kind of shifts over those first few years from like, I need to sell more shoes to like, I want to help more people.
Exactly.
I want to help people make better decisions real estate wise, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And talking about the back of the pack is pretty cool, because I think about that often. And we meet a lot of people just because of who we are in real estate. Our demographic is a lot of like 30 somethings, right?
Yeah.
That are selling a 2-bedroom condo and looking to upsize to a townhouse or whatever it may be, or first time buyers.
Yeah.
And they're always like, do you have time for us? Like, our condo's worth $500K.
Right.
Greater Vancouver people that are listening outside of Greater Vancouver, $500K is like basically entry point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're like, of course, you are literally our ideal demographic. We love working with people like you that are looking to move up the ladder, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's, I guess the point I'm trying to make is just, it's cool to see how much you're actually affecting someone's life by just doing this job that you thought you were doing. And then your mindset kind of shifts.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I don't think the other is sustainable or as sustainable or as enjoyable maybe. I'm sure I should, it's probably sustainable. If your whole thing is to move more homes, I'm sure a lot of people have found a way and that's been their number one motivation. But
I think it's short term.
Yeah, right?
I think in 5 years from now, like, social media never lies.
Will chew you up.
People's perspective never lie, right? The more bridges you burn, the more people you treat poorly, the greater and greater that pool is going to be, the more that those people talk about it. I heard some stat, I don't know who, I think my dad told me this, or some business book maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if someone has a bad experience, they tell 9 people. If someone has a good experience, they tell 3.
Right.
So welcome to social media.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Your perspective of it is like the negativity is way louder than the positivity.
For sure.
Welcome to politics as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's been cool to see that, and then with FitFirst, it's and Lady Sport, it's sure the run clinic side, but a big huge part of our business is the referral and the medical fitting side of things. So it's a lot of our clients aren't runners, aren't ever going to be runners, don't want to be runners, but they want to be able to walk, or they want to be able to walk a little bit faster, or that sort of thing, or come off a crazy injury, or battling some sort of pain or something. And that's our big separation that you, in my opinion, can't find many other places, is the advice and the lineup of products to kind of allow people to get out of an injury or a rut or whatever it is, or keep that person moving. Because once you stop moving, you die pretty quick. And it like, as soon as you lose any sort of mobility or sort of thing, it's crazy to see it, or to see how amazed people are. Is like, wow, I just stood up off this bench and like walked without pain, or with less pain, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so that's the other huge part of our business, and where we feel rewarded too is in that sort of thing. So not always an athlete necessarily, but also just like people who are trying to live and be a little bit healthier, sort of thing. Which is kind of fun.
Do you want to talk, maybe just briefly describe the service that FitFirst provides? Because as someone anyone's been to a lot of retail stores, and most retail experiences I've ever had are, hey, how's it going? Ignored.
Yeah.
And you're just in there picking out a few clothes, go try them on, and walk to the till and walk out.
Yeah.
I would never say this unless I believed it, but it was at your store, which is why I come back.
Yeah.
I kind of like you as a human being too, but mostly why I come back. Like you said, right? I know the shoe that I wear, or a couple different shoes that I wear.
Right.
Could buy it on Amazon or wherever.
Yeah.
Something.ca.com.
Yeah.
And have them in my mailbox tomorrow morning. The reason I keep coming back is just because of how good the quality of the service is. And it's unlike anything I've ever seen in a retail environment before. And I'm so pumped of how good you guys are doing with that. And I'm 100% sure that's why the business keeps doing better every year.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so, yeah, thanks, Dan, because that definitely means a lot. And we put a lot of work and effort and pride into that. And it's service. So we often talk about like shoe fetchers versus shoe fitters. Like, you can go in and you can get asked like, what size are you? Okay. And what color do you want? Or often, like, our kind of goal with, say, even the shoe fitting side of things is pretty much to get you away from the shoe wall as quick as we can. And not have people up there like
picking colors.
What's that one? And that's a cool logo. And it's like, okay, what are your needs? We ask a whole bunch of questions of, what are your goals? What kind of injuries have you had? What terrain are you walking or running on? What activities are you doing? And we'll try to just mine as much information as possible. And it's like, okay, great. I think I know a few things. Why don't you go sit down? I'll go grab shoes, sort of thing. Then we grab some shoes that offer different levels of support, feel, fit, all of those sorts of things. And we tie them up for you. You sit down, we untie your shoes, we lace them up for you. We get so much information by just putting the shoe on for you. We can tell how the heel fits, how the forefoot kind of fits in the toe box, whether it's wide enough, whether it's narrow enough. And right away, we can surprise you with kind of saying, you slip it on, it's like, oh, this is pretty good. It's a little wide in the toe box, isn't it? And they're like, what? Yeah, it is. I was just thinking that. Or right away, this is too tight and it's off, sort of thing. So we do fit people, and we're not shoe fetching, we're shoe fitting. And a lot of people will be like, these are the ones. And then they're like, what am I even wearing? What's the brand, or what is the name, or what is the price, sort of thing. Because we try to make that whole process based on needs and everything, not just what color do you want. Because as soon as I'm trying to chase the commodity game and have just the coolest color and it's going to sell because I display it the best, I'm going to lose every time.
Yeah.
Or I don't have the SEO budget to get all the way up to the top, sort of thing. There's way too many other players. And so yeah, service is king, and we live and die by it. And we'll as soon as we have poor service, we'll die pretty quickly. Speaking of which, kind of like I was pretty pleased to read about a week ago. I think MEC is known for like service, right? Is service, and you go there, and I think I read that they, on $450 million in revenue, they lost 11 or 12 mil because they deviated. They went, their MEC brand stuff got cheaper. They expanded. They got into categories that they shouldn't be in, and tried to sell a lot of stuff and not service a lot of stuff. And they're hurting for it.
Hiring people who have no idea what's going on.
Hiring people who have no idea. Like, I remember my first time I went to MEC, it was like, wow, that guy's amazing. He sold me a pack that I went traveling with, and he pointed out 3 different ones because I'm taller. He got me the long one, and then he adjusted it, fit me perfectly, and it was like, this is awesome. And then the other day, or a couple months ago, I went to get some camping gear, and it was just like, holy, sort of thing. And not to pick on a brand or a store or anything like that. Me being so anti-big box, I take a little bit of a win or pride on that. But it's as soon as you deviate from like that core value or the core value proposition that you're offering, you're going to lose so quickly, sort of thing. But it's tempting to have like the sickest Nike on the wall that looks cool, and that, sure, some of, like, at a time when I was younger, my friends would be like, oh, do you have those ones, or do you? And I'm like, oh, no, I don't. Or yeah, I do, but nobody buys them off me because that's not the person who's coming into the store who I can market myself to, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Our stuff's cool though, like, because the products are cool. You're not a loser if you buy it. But
the first time I came into your store, do you remember how many shoes I tried on?
Yeah, which is standard though. Like,
I didn't know what to expect at all.
Yeah.
And because literally I'd only bought running. I didn't even like running at the beginning, like 3 years ago, whenever I bought the first pair of shoes from you. I didn't even like running. And so I go in there, and I don't know, most of my shoe purchases have been from like Foot Locker or Sport Check or whatever. Yeah. And I go in there, and you're like, just sit down. I'm like, all right, this sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah.
And you bring out like 4 or 5 pairs of shoes. He asked what size I was.
Yeah.
And he brings out 4 or 5 pairs of shoes, and he puts a couple on me and watches me walk up and down the store.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, right. Well, he's using words I've never heard of before. He's like, oh, well, your knee is pronating a little bit.
Supinating.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Hey, supination. Yeah. Remember that.
Yeah.
Let's try these ones. They have a little bit more support. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I didn't even know that shoes actually have more support or less support. I just thought it was like, here's a Nike shoe. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Or you get these bullshit orthotics that I got 12 years ago in university that were just like a piece of wood that went underneath my foot. Yeah. It felt like shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I tried on 11 or 12 pairs of shoes that day.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And then the last time, so now I've maybe had like 4 or 5 pairs of running shoes from you.
Yeah.
The last time I come in, you're like, well, how are your knees feeling? The reason I went to Evan is because I was having knee pain while running and I wanted to get back into shape.
Yeah.
So he's like, how are your knees feeling? And I say, well, I haven't really had any knee pain at all in the last couple of years. All right, well, let's try to go down a little bit on supports to build up your muscles rather than relying on the shoe.
Yeah.
So it was just like a completely different retail experience than
Just
I've ever
super custom.
been from before.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. That's the goal. Cause again, I think you can get a lot of other stuff elsewhere and you've got to be different, but it's also like fun. It's a case study. It's a problem solving. It's like, okay, where are you now? Where do you want to be? How do we get you there?
Mhm.
Is it right away? Is it one shoe? And yeah, people all the time are like, oh, sorry, I'm wasting your time. Like, this is too much. And it's like, no, this is like most fits take half an hour or an hour.
People almost feel guilty, eh?
They do. Yeah. They're like, oh no, I won't waste your time. And it's like, no, this is kind of why we're here. Like, this is what we're here for.
Yeah.
Which is fun and rewarding and time consuming for sure. But yeah, it's working and it's a lot of fun. It's been good.
That's the long-term thing though, because people keep coming back.
Yeah.
Like I'm never going to buy running shoes off of online stores because of how good the service is there.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like real estate for us, that I could sell someone into a condo tomorrow, but if it's not the right fit for them, they're never going to use me ever again. Right?
Exactly.
Whereas if I take the 6 months and show them 30 places or whatever, or fit them in 12 different pairs of shoes and take 45 minutes to fit them, they're going to be super pumped and come back and tell their friends about it.
Yeah. And we'll see and like have to fix stuff, like trying to just like wedge people into a shoe or sell them something. Hey, maybe we're missing a width or a size or the color. And it's like, oh, this one, I think it does fit. And then sure enough, 2 weeks later, it comes back half worn. We have to defective it and get it right. Or that person maybe never comes back and we don't know it, sort of thing. But trying to get the payoff of like, or get that sale right then and there, unless it is perfect, it usually comes back and bites you in the ass. And it's super tempting to like say a bunch of fancy words and convince the person that it's the right fit or whatever, the right one for them, just because it's the one you have. But yeah, it's short term and loses pretty much every time, for sure. Yeah.
There's a lot more we could talk about, but I think,
I don't know.
Should we wrap up?
I'm closing in on 2 hours.
Jesus, really?
You going to set the record?
What's the record?
I don't know. It goes by so fast, eh?
Yeah, it does, for sure.
Podcast is fast.
It's easy. Yeah.
I could talk to you about so
Is it
many
840?
things.
Yeah.
I could talk to you about recovery.
Yeah.
There's so many more things than just like the behind the scenes of the business and like how you prospected early on.
Yeah.
And like, I know I don't know if it was like every Wednesday or like one morning a week, you would go to a bunch of different doctors' offices and just be like, hey, we want to help people that are recovering from injuries. Send them to our office or send them to our store. We'd love to fit them into shoes, whatever.
Yeah.
Such good ideas though.
Yeah. And it's, but same thing, like, I don't know, you always feel like you're not doing enough or you should be doing more or others are doing 10 times more and stuff like that. And then every once in a while you get like a check where it's like, oh, okay, we're doing something right here or over there they're hurting or boy, that was a terrible idea by them or whichever. And it kind of gives you that little boost of confidence. But that's the one thing with like being self-employed or working for yourself is there's no like it's all you sort of thing. There's no I don't know, you can't just look at your coworker and roll your eyes about it's a slow day or whatever and good luck to whoever. It's you and so a slow day just goes right onto your mind or onto your. So I've definitely battled on trying to not let like the highs get too high or the lows get too low, because it'll wipe you out or it'll ruin your home life and everything so quickly.
You can absolutely drive yourself crazy. And the crazy thing about like running a business or working for yourself is just there's always more you can do, right?
Exactly. It's like I go home at the end of the day. It's not because the work's done. It's not like it's like, all right, well, I wonder what tomorrow will bring. It's like there's 50 other things that I could or should continue to be doing, but I just like you eventually got to stop working or you got to, got a loving wife at home and all that sort of thing. So
when I started, I would look at other realtors teams and be like, oh my God, they're selling 100 homes a year. Like that's fucking crazy. How do I get to that? Or what is like, I want to be them. And now it's more like there's not lots, but there's some teams in Greater Vancouver that sell more real estate than us. And it's more looking at them and be like, what are they doing well?
Right.
I don't want to be them. I don't want to change our culture. I don't want to be a different personality than I am.
Right.
What are they doing well? And how can we shift that into working for us kind of thing? So like picking out with Ty, like different little video marketing ideas that he's doing really well that we could put our own little spin on and could work for us.
For sure.
So it's always like, it's this, you're never perfect, but always like chasing growth and how do we get better?
I think that's part of it too, is maybe where my like sort of anti-feeling, it's not anti-feeling, but is, and maybe you see the stats, I don't know how real estate works, where you just see the board and who did sell what, and it's all just exposed. But I think a lot of those sorts of things aren't what they seem, sort of thing. Like it's not all gravy over there and you kind of get yourself down just because they have a cool camera or are posting a million times and it makes it look like everything's happening and crazy. It's like actually they're half of what we are or less than, or that sort of thing.
Real estate's weird because
it's literally
you get judged or you get ranked in Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board based on how many units you sell.
Right.
So like a $200,000 condo, which whatever, maybe is in Chilliwack now, versus a $7 million home in Vancouver counts as one.
Right.
So someone who sells like 30 homes in West Vancouver that has an average price point of $4 million probably makes way more than someone who sells in the burbs that sells 100 condos.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
but you see it by unit, like it's all ranked.
Units.
That's so weird. It's like, so that's what I like don't love about, say, sport or like CrossFit, is like the gym. I've never done a CrossFit workout, but don't they literally like rank you? And like I don't get that. I guess running is like, what's your time? But that's not.
Even a bunch of spin class studios have like a little character up there, right? And so you're on bike number 22 or whatever, and it's showing how fast you're pedaling and how far you're going compared to everyone else.
It's like those horse games of the P&E, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yeah.
Do you think that's destructive or do you think that's motivating?
It can be both. I think it's the same when you're looking at social media as positive, negative. I think you can look at it both ways. I think some people are affected by that and being like, why am I coming to this? I'm just being put down. I'm in last place or I'm not even close to winning. I'm never going to win. There's this girl next to me who's been cycling for 15 years who literally is an Olympic athlete. Like, how am I ever going to beat her or whatever? Versus there's other people that maybe grew up with athletics that think it's motivating.
Like, look how well I'm doing with this Olympic
today.
athlete.
How can I finish 11th tomorrow?
Right.
And keep getting better.
For me, for sure, like in our run clinics, it would be, we wouldn't survive if I posted times or like even finishing times of runs or anything, like, or high-fived only the first half of the people who came in after the run. And it was like, all right, you didn't get in the first next week, maybe, sort of thing. Like we would be dead if there was any sort of competition vibe. It wouldn't work for our vibe. Maybe because that's just me, but I hear so many other clinics or groups or run groups where it's like, I felt like I went back to high school. Like it was judge and it was all about how fast you are, and all these people, they look like they're having fun, but no, they're just talking about what did you run and what did I run, and this paranoia and everything, where they're not even necessarily enjoying themselves, it feels like. Whereas but yeah, everybody's different. But I think particularly in that welcoming fitness space, it's got to be none of that. Just being like, every run clinic I start with giving everybody a round of applause for being here. Like, that's a win. You showed up. That's it.
100%.
We ask for everybody's goal when they sign up for the clinic. My favorite goal that people set or write is like, I just want to be, it's a 12-week clinic. I want to be here for all 12 Sundays, sort of thing. And that's my favorite goal to hear. Mm-hmm. And then when people do it, it's like, that's such a win. And just showing up is same thing. Like I started saying about the marathon, is like, you lay out the plan, all you have to do is show up and do it, sort of thing. You'll get there.
Even like relaying that to business, I think that mindset of like, what was your time? Oh yeah, I beat you by 3 seconds. It's just so cancerous.
Yeah.
You're always going to lose. Long term, you're always going to lose.
Exactly.
If you're so concerned about what the next realtor's doing, the next shoe store is doing, you're just going to like, you're going to get so far away from who you are and your brand and what you want to do.
Exactly.
I think it's a losing formula.
Yeah.
With fitness.
Yeah.
This is it's not easy to get out of bed and actually go to the gym or go get running or whatever. And I think this in my head every day. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I like, this sucks. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And as soon as I start getting going, I'm like, all right, this is awesome.
It's good for me.
And when you're done, you feel so much better than you did or you would if you didn't work out that day.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan said something on a podcast recently. And he said, I work out like 5 or 6 days a week. Like, obviously he's in really good shape.
Mhm.
He's like, at least, I'm not joking, at least 80% of the time, I don't want to work out. I wake up, I don't want to work out. As soon as I start, I love it.
Yeah.
And he's like, 100% of the time, I have never finished a workout and said, I wish I didn't do that.
He's never ever regretted it.
Yeah.
Ever. You always feel better.
Yeah. You should see like people when they finish the run on Sundays, it's like the runner's high. People are just riding this weird, you'll talk to them in the morning, like, how's it going? It's like, yeah, I'm all right.
And then you go on with the rest of your day feeling fucking amazing.
So
right?
much better.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty amazing.
Mhm.
And that can be like 15 minutes or it can be a long run or whatever. But yeah, when you come back, it's pretty hilarious to see how different people are like, you can't regret that ever, for sure.
Can you think of anything else in your life that is similar to that? Whereas like it's difficult to do, but as soon as it's done, you feel so much better.
There's like, my parents always talk about, I went to, like, growing up, I was in Beavers and I was like the kid who would kick
Is
and
that like-
scream. It's like scouts. And,
Okay. Yeah.
kick and scream to get me there.
Yeah.
And then once I was there, they pick me up and I'd be like, it was the best ever. So always sort of thing. Even like basketball practice, like I fucking hated it. And we had to, as you got older, you had to wait longer after school before practice started.
Yeah.
It was like the worst thing. But then coming off practice, bantering with the fellas, and it's like the best thing ever. And you go home and you eat and you talk to dad about practice and that sort of thing. And it was the best sort of thing. But
That's interesting because I didn't always feel like that after practices.
no,
Obviously, there's some days that are harder than others. And for me, there was this thing called Center for Performance, which was like, I don't know, it was like basically like provincial team kids that had every weekend from I think September to November, and then like after the season, like March to July or something like that.
Okay.
You just get together on the weekend at, I think it was
It was like Saturday, Sundays, 4 hours each.
yeah. And it was long. It was like 9 to 4. It was almost a full day each day.
Mhm.
And it was grade 9, 10, 11, 12. Grade 9 and 10, I absolutely hated going.
Right.
Every day I hated going. And I didn't even feel that good afterwards. It was just like you go there and get beat up because you're playing against grade 12
Guys are
kids.
so good.
Like
Yeah.
I'm playing against Terrell
Right.
Mara.
Right.
I'm like 5'8" in grade 9.
Yeah.
140 pounds. And I'm playing against Terrell Mara, who's 6'6", 240.
Yeah.
I'm just getting bulldozed it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel really very good after that.
Right.
But for some reason, fitness is different for me now.
Right.
I never feel bad about working out or
Mhm.
going to the gym unless I hurt myself, which has happened a few times.
Yeah.
Just like pulling a weird muscle or something
Yeah.
while working out.
Yeah.
But I never feel bad. And I don't know anything else that's like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I think anything that we have angst about doing or not doing,
Mhm.
for me, like calling that customer with bad news that I can't get them what they wanted, or that in some ways like we've let them down sort of thing, feels, I'll try to put that off or delay. But once you do it, it's the payoff of like getting it done. So
Just the release of having it off your shoulders, maybe.
I think that's what it is.
But for some reason, after a run or whatever every day, I just feel like energized and accomplished almost.
Yeah.
Whereas, sure, you can tackle business tasks, maybe something that you're really nervous about, or like
Lingering.
public speaking,
Yeah.
going in really nervous. But afterwards, I almost like
wasn't.
dissect it, right?
Right.
I'm like, oh, I kind of stuttered there. I
Right.
should have presented this point a different way.
Right.
Whereas like running, I'm just like, it's done. I feel great. I got my stretch in. I'm showered.
Yeah.
I'm super ready to go for the rest of the
Yeah.
day. I'm
Yeah.
not like, oh, I made 3 missteps there and had
No.
a shit time.
No, exactly.
But didn't you feel pretty good after that event?
Yeah,
After giving the speech, you like
100%.
you're all high and stuff, feeling good.
100%.
Yeah.
But at the same time, on the way home, I was
It's not quite
thinking
the same.
about how what I wanted to say, did it really get across? I didn't really explain this point as well as I wrote my notes going in type of thing.
Mhm.
So I was dissecting it. I was like reviewing myself.
Right.
Whereas like after a run, I'm never reviewing myself.
No. Yeah.
You're not making sure your gate's correct.
No, because I don't care. For me
Yeah.
personally,
No. Yeah.
I don't care about the time.
Yeah.
If I run 6K in 27 minutes one day and then
Awesome.
35 the next, it doesn't
sure.
really matter.
For
to
sure.
me.
And I don't know, like it's I'll even feel sharper on the morning that I do get a run in. Like I'm
for sure.
I'm better, sort of thing.
For sure.
There's something there. There's something chemically that changes for sure.
I don't know what it is. I've heard the word endorphins.
I've heard that word before too. Yeah.
Maybe it's that. I don't know.
It could be.
Okay, let's get out of here.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, man. That was
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
I feel like there's more that we could talk about though.
100%.
So-
Recovery is a big one.
Recovery, yeah. There's some.
And Carl wants to go.
Yeah, let's
Let's get out
go.
of here.
Whoa. I said round 2.
Yeah, let's do round 2.
I'm in.
Perfect.
New Year. We got a lot of round 2s for the new year, Carl.
Perfect.
We're building our database.
Keep
here
the work
quick.
coming.
Yeah, that's it. Sweet. Thanks, fellas.
Guys, if you're into fitness, wanting to get into running, or you are a runner and need a better fit shoe for yourself, I know that was super corny, but actually go check out FitFirst. They are located at the 40th Center, 8 Rinks. I don't know what street that is.
Kensington and Sprott, call it.
In North Burnaby. Go check them out. Say hi to Evan. Evan's the tall white kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giddy up.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Get out of here.
Yeah, thanks, Carl.